Let us now learn more details about auto-implemented properties. As we have seen, C# 3.0 has given us more concise syntax to define properties. So, auto-implemented properties is mainly for concise syntax for trivial properties which we have to implement. Now here you can again see the example, class smart customer, and the property definition is almost on one line. So this is how it offers us a very concise syntax. C# compiler automatically generates the private fields to store the property values. So even if we haven't defined any private field to store the property value, C# compiler will do that job for you. So whenever we are going to compile our program and if we go and examine the MSIL, then we will be able to see the internal private fields used by the C# compiler to store the property values. Creation of properties by this requires both get and set accessors defined. So you can't have a property with only get accessor and with only set accessor. But you can always control access to these properties. And the access can be controlled by using modifiers. For example, let's say if I want to make a property as read-only, then I can use private access modifier for the setter methods. So for the last name, let's say if I want to make this last name as read-only, then I can just say private and set semicolon. So this will ensure that my last name property is only read-only property. Now with this introduction to auto-implemented properties, let's write some C# code to actually implement them. We are now in Visual C# environment and I have opened a new console application project. Now let's see how to define auto-implemented properties. For that, let me write a class customer, and let's write a property public string first name, then curly bracket, my getter method, and followed by my setter method. That's it really. So I have finished writing my first name property. So concise. Similarly, let me write my last name property. So I have defined two properties, first name and last name, in my class customer. Now let's go back to main method and let's see how we can use it. So let me create an instance of customer class, and here we go, we can access. So c1.firstname, let me put some data, and c1.lastname. And then you can access them. As if you are using your normal properties. In fact, they are your normal properties with concise syntax. That's it really. Let me compile it. It has compiled successfully, and let's run it. Now you can see it has successfully set the values, and we are able to read the values also. So now here you will appreciate the concise syntax which is given by C# architects. So with such small piece of code, we define two properties and then use them in our main program. Now let us see what kind of MSI it generated. I have now opened the assembly in ILD Assembler, and here you can see our classes customer and program. Now let's examine the customer class where we had defined our auto implemented properties. So let me expand it, and now here you can see the backing field. So you can see the backing field for last name and backing field for first name. And here you can see the getter and setter methods for the properties which we had defined. So the compiler internally has converted our auto implemented properties into a normal property, and with a backing field and with the getter and setter methods. So this is how compiler is treating it as if it's a normal property. As far as a developer is concerned, developer gets a very concise syntax without bothering about the backend storage field, and the compiler will take care by generating the appropriate code. So this is the main advantage of auto-implemented properties. Now let us go back to our C# code. We are now back to our C# code. So let's go to our class customer and add one more property. Let's say public string address, and let me just add a get accessory to it. Now let's try to compile it. You can see it has given a compilation error. What it is saying? Automatically implemented properties must define both get and set accessors. So you can't have only get or only set accessor. So if I make it just set and try to compile it, you can see it has given us the same error. So you have to have both get and set accessors. Now you can see it has accepted after defining both get and set accessors. But we can use access modifiers to control access to the accessors. For example, let's say for this address, if I want this to become read-only, then I can use private access modifier for the setter method. So now let's go back to our code. So C1 dot address, and let me try to initialize it with some value, and let me try to compile it. You can see it has given us an error. What error it is giving? Set accessor is inaccessible. So in short, our address is now read-only property. So this is how you can control access to the accessors by using access modifiers.